boys and girls, but mostly boys because you guys compose the largest part of our demographic. So girls, an extra welcome to you. And this elaborate scheme gives way to video game talk.
Hello!
Hello to me and my best friend Richard and our overly saturated faces. Let me just go ahead and let's fix that for a second. Oh, that was actually made worse.
Oh, that's good.
No, it's not. There we go. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that. Doesn't that look better? Don't we look better?
That's good.
Oh man, yeah, I don't look like completely washed out, like a beacon or a lighthouse or some sort of thing.
Hey guys, welcome to Video Game Talk.
Welcome to Video Game Talk. I don't know if we're going to be going our full length here today, but we definitely have some stuff we want to talk about because, as always, there is news in video games. Despite, as we have observed, and it was a prediction. I dare say I'm willing to call it a prediction that we made early in 2018 that this would not be an exciting year. I don't think it was a wild prediction. I don't think it was based in any sort of like really unpredictable metric of data. We made the very safe prediction that 2018 would not be a big news year for video games. But even despite that, there's still plenty to talk about.
There's always something going on.
Yeah, we've got two big things we want to talk about today. Two big things that we want to keep y'all informed on. It's not a super big one, but we've got the it's definitely worth mentioning the New York Video Game Awards. Just released basically their winners and whatnot and all that sort of stuff. Shout out to Matt Provincial! What up?
Hey Matt, what's going on? I like he's quoting Zoro. Zoro fought for the people.
Yeah, what up? So that's dope. Always love when that cat stops by. We got two big things we're going to talk to you about. As you know, or as I just mentioned, the New York Video Game Awards 2018 just released its winners list. Some of which makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Some of which is there's a whole lot of yeah, duh, and there's a few what? If I can quote John Mulaney, what?
Yeah, so we'll read them off. We'll tell you who everybody was and who won. That was a very exciting thing.
We'll give some ideas on what we thought about some of the other nominees, that sort of stuff. We're just gonna break it down. Fair alert, we're gonna throw a lot of shade and be very dramatic and incredibly petty. Yeah. Which is exactly the kind of presentation you've come to expect from the Rich Alvarez YouTube experience. So, brace yourselves for some petty shit.
One last thing to Matt Provincial. Where is he now, Padre?
Where is he now? Then we're going to talk a little bit about the current state of the Star Wars franchise, something, as you know, very near and dear to our hearts and whatnot. Star Wars Network, which Rich and I's other major project, talked in depth about this. I recommend you check out its video on it. But we will touch on that because it is video game news and we do have some stuff to say about it. So I guess we'll just fucking do this, right?
All right. Yeah.
So here's the question. I've got the list here on my third monitor out of 4 because I'm extra. And I wonder, do you want to go from the? Do we want to start with the big one? Do we want to skip their best game of the year and go?
Yeah, let's go bottom to top. It'll be better if we do it in reverse order.
Okay.
Some of you may not have watched the New York Video Game Awards or have heard them or whatever, but for some people, since Spike TV's Video Game Awards kind of shifted to a different platform, and I don't, maybe it doesn't even exist anymore because do they do the Spike? I don't think
couldn't tell you if they did.
Does Spike TV even exist anymore? But that used to be the big thing.
Even as like a 15-year-old when they first started doing it, and I was like, here's the thing about me as a 15-year-old, I was down with everything. I was very optimistic. I was very much like, oh, it's so great. You know, I wasn't suspicious of like anything. I was super naive and just enthusiastic. And even in that moment, regarded the Spike Video Game Awards with some suspicion. I was like, did you just pick the 8 most produced titles by the 8 most predictable companies?
Yeah. The
8 most formulaic games ever and just like give them a pat on the back and send them on their way? It seemed really bought and paid for.
For ratings.
It seemed incredibly bought and paid for ratings.
Regardless, the New York Video Game Awards has now become pretty much the big guns on the block for Video Game Awards. So we're going to start at the bottom.
Right.
This is Best Acting in a video game. Best Acting. And the nominees were Ashley Birch as Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
Valerie Rose Lohman as Edith Finch in What Remains of Edith Finch. You know, they always show the clapping, and then the person's like, oh, Thanks, guys. On the camera. Claudia Black as Chloe Fraser in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Legacy. Brian Bloom as BG Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein 2: New Colossus. Nina Franozek, sorry for butchering, although she's not watching anyway, as Irene Engel in Wolfenstein 2:
That's how it's said. I just said it with an accent and said it more confidently.
And then lastly, Melina Jurgens as Senua. Thank you. That's why Garrett's here. In Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
I know that one.
And Garrett, envelope, please. The winner is?
So, the winner of this particular thing was Melina Jurgens as Senua.
Yay!
Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice was a game that I was privy to. There's a few on this list that I don't have a lot of experience with. I don't play Uncharted. I don't do console gaming. I don't even mean that in like the PC elitist way. I just physically don't have one. I'm pretty much a mainstream PC guy. But easy to understand that the Chloe Fraser character is well renowned, obviously, and it's easy to understand why someone would make a recommendation there. I was surprised to see not one but two Wolfenstein,
which is, as we've said in previous shows, is a solid game, and I should probably do a Let's Play of it. I keep forgetting that I have it.
I mean, you're such a Bethesda fanboy. I can't believe you haven't
and I've been messing around with Fallout mods, and I have not gotten to the.
We keep coming back to Fallout 4, and there's like this brand new. I'm as equally guilty of this because I have Wolfenstein 2. I own it. I haven't touched it yet.
I love Elder Scrolls, but it's the combination of Elder Scrolls plus Fallout that makes me a big Bethesda fanboy.
Right. So your boy's based another game and it's winning awards. You should play it.
All right, we should do a Wolfenstein Let's Play together.
Yeah, maybe we can.
Maybe that's what we'll just do next week. Just play Wolfenstein. Okay. There might not be any news next week.
Right.
All right, I'm not going to do the Oscars thing for every category, but I will say who everybody is. Okay, so the award for best remake.
Well, no, I want to talk about this more.
Oh, you want to talk about that more?
Yeah, because I want to hear I want to give you some thoughts on the thing and whatnot. We can milk this, man. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, milking it.
Yeah. Alloy and Horizon Zero Dawn. Also, I want to hear who you would have picked.
Oh, who I would have picked.
Yeah, so think about that. Because, Alloy and Horizon Zero Dawn, phenomenal game. Really, really well written and a very interesting world in general, so that's all good. I'm going to have some criticisms for a lot of the other categories here, but I'm pretty good with this list. I can't think of a character... my first question to you is, when you look at this list, are there any big holes in it? And I'm going to ask you this for every category. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
of. Did they miss anyone? And that's the real question.
Right.
Because the thing is, some of my favorite games this year, like Mario and Zelda, they don't really have a whole lot of voice acting.
There's no acting.
Link is a silent character, and Mario's been doing the same thing for 20 years, Right.
So. Also, as you'll see much later in this sort of franchise, or in this list, they do okay.
Yeah,
they do okay.
Rich Alvarez, Mario's been around for 40 years, but he's only spoken for 20 of it.
Yeah,
that animated show doesn't count because that wasn't Charles Martinet. Suck it. All right, all right. But the point is, I don't think he'd be winning voice. As good as he is. He's been doing it too long.
He's iconic.
It's iconic. Yeah. He won't be winning awards for it anytime soon. The day that Charles Martinet wins Best Voice Acting in a game, where the hell did the rest of the game
go? What did everybody else do? Is every other game just composed of grunts and sounds and whatnot?
It's a real shame that what's it? Do you remember who does? Oh, it's 2K Studios. They did BioShock.
Yes.
Yeah. But didn't 2K go defunct, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm not, I forgive me for not knowing that one. My impression is whether or not they're bankrupt or what their situation
Something happened, but they're not making another BioShock. They're doing it.
They're done.
They are doing, the same people, though, jumped ship to a different company to remake.
They did. I mean...
They're doing System Shock Remake, which is like the precursor for BioShock, so that's cool. The only reason I bring all that up is because BioShock has some of the best voice acting ever. It's sad to me that we probably won't see that title on any of these lists, at least anytime soon.
That's fine. It's a lot of the same people.
I honestly can't think of a hole that's missing.
I can't. Now, my second question to you is, would you have picked a different winner from this list, or did this fall the way it should have?
If I did pick a different winner, I feel like I'd be biased since I haven't played Hellblade. But Wolfenstein 2, the voice acting in that game is fantastic all the way around. It's interesting that Chloe was chosen for Uncharted because although she was a fantastic character in Uncharted 2, that's where she was introduced, I really feel
Lost Legacy wasn't like a central
Chloe
game.
Well, it was her and then the other girl, and I really think that the other girl is the better character. I can't think of the other character's name at the moment, but Chloe's a solid character. Just I don't know if it's award worthy, but it's pretty good. I guess it's for the spoilers. There's this very impactful scene in the middle of the game. Is probably why she's nominated for this award.
Yeah.
But in case you will play it, I won't say what happens. Horizon Zero Dawn, just a fantastic, beautiful game all around too. Voice acting though, I thought was pretty average. I guess they didn't go wrong with Hellblade, even though I haven't played it.
See, Aloy is my second, for sure. Like Aloy is a close second.
Okay.
Here. Yeah, I think the Horizon Zero Dawn acting was. I mean, it was kind of minimalist, or not necessarily, but it was everything it needed to be.
I can't. Who's FemShep? Who did FemShep in Mass Effect?
Oh shit, I forget.
I can't remember her name, but she's probably my favorite voice actress.
She's objectively one of the best
all time. She was also Naomi in the Metal Gear games, and tons of stuff. And if I'm not horribly mistaken, I believe she's Nora, the female lead in Fallout 4. If you're the female, or if you use the hack like I did to bring her back.
I met her at the convention.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, there you go. I'm pretty sure that she's also FemShep.
Is she?
People are going to be calling me out on that, I know, but it sounds very similar. Either way, both of them are fantastic voice actresses if they're separate.
I don't know.
Point is, I don't have a strong opinion on this one, unfortunately, because, like I said, I like Wolfenstein 2, but I didn't play Hellblade.
Okay. Right. See, I think this is one of the categories that I'm going to look at and I'm going to say this went exactly the way that it should have. I think Senua's character, I mean, like, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, there are plenty of really valid arguments that it's not even much of a game. It's not. That the gameplay mechanics of it are brutally simplistic, and that it doesn't even hold up as it can't even compete or hold up for the definition of a modern video game. That being said, Hellblade is one hell of an experience, pun intended. And it is carried by its characters and by its world and by its cinematic portrayals and whatnot. And to anybody who is a critic of Hellblade, I would say that they weren't really trying to make an RPG. They were trying to make a cinematic portrayal about mental illness and its very likely his role in or psychosis and its very likely role in the propagation of mythology in the ancient world. Senua as a character drives this point home immaculately, and there was a lot of lively shot. Like they didn't have the money to do a lot of their cinematic CGI, so they shot a lot of it live and put it in post render. So that's good. I'm gonna move on from this category because I think we beat it to death. But Senua, I'm 100% behind that.
Okay.
And Aloy would have been my second. So that's all well and good. So.
And now we have award for best remake, and the nominees are Zero Escape, the Nonary games.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch.
Okay.
Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and that actually is a remake of 3 games. LA Noire Switch and VR. Okay. Elder Scrolls Skyrim for Switch and VR. Metroid Samus Returns, and The Walking Dead Collection. And your winner is, of course, Samus Returns. A game that I was supposed to review months ago and never did, and am now getting busted for. So that. But you'll see the video. I have to put it up, so you'll see it at some point in the next week. You're going to get a Samus Returns review from me. But anyways, here's what I have to say about this. I love Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I think at this point I've just accepted the fact that it's my favorite Elder Scrolls. I was a big weeb on Morrowind for way too long. And then even then it was it took me 3 years to be okay, Oblivion's better. And then finally we have Skyrim, and for the first 2 years that was out, I was like, no, it doesn't have the character setup that Oblivion did, blah blah blah, weeby. So but now I love
pretty down on Skyrim when it first came out, and boy do you look foolish.
I love the shit out of Skyrim. Yeah. It's not only is it my favorite Elder Scrolls, I might just be up there for it's like beating Chrono Trigger to death to try to get that top spot for best RPG.
It's trying,
for
yeah.
me.
How many hours do you think you put in Skyrim? Because that's the cool thing about being
console?
I know. That's the cool thing about being a PC gamer, pretty much dedicated to just PC and just Steam, is you have a laundry list of a very exact articulation of how many hours you spent on it. So I can tell you that I've spent over 600 hours in Skyrim.
Skyrim's one of those fun things for me where it's like I started on my 360, then moved to my PS3, and then got it on PS4 with the special edition, and now I have it on PC. And now I have it on the Switch, so I have it on 5 consoles with at least
for anything else.
It's got to be at least 200 on each console, except for the Switch maybe, because that just came out.
I haven't had the time for that one.
I gotta have. I don't know, 1,000 hours maybe.
800 to 1,000 for you.
An unhealthy amount of time spent in a fictional world.
that's how it goes. That's kind of why we're here. We have a video game show on the internet, Richard.
Yeah. However, when it comes to best remake this year, I'm
glad Skyrim didn't win. Yeah. Skyrim doesn't need any more awards.
The nomination was for the Switch and VR versions, which is, of course, the 3rd or 4th remake of this game. And it didn't really... And again, it looks beautiful on the Switch, but it didn't do anything that the special edition for a PS4 already did, and so I don't think it deserved an award. Samus Returns is a remake of Metroid 2, and it was everything that you wanted in a Metroid 2 remake, and I've said this before, if you like Metroid, Samus Returns just delivered on everything. All it did, and people are like, God, we just want you to make the game and just better graphics. But it did so much more. Yes, it improved the graphics, but it added new dungeons, new items, new things for Samus to do, and also kind of improved and tweaked the story a little bit. And Metroid 2, I already thought Metroid 2 was probably the best one. I know I'm a little bit of a sucker for Super Metroid, but Metroid 2 is really good. And it's just when you make a great remake based on a great game, and it's not like, it's not like, oh,
it's not kicking.
Yeah, guys, yeah, definitely deserved Samus Returns. LA North, the remake sucked ass because...
I was so shocked to see that on here. Yeah. It's like, why was that even nominated?
I don't know why that nominated. I liked LA North. It was not even my favorite game of that year. And the remake did nothing. It doesn't even look good. I really think that Rockstar... Now I think it's time to say that Rockstar really needs to get their shit together. Because they are just focused on the online content for Grand Theft Auto right now. Everyone's like, where's GTA 6?
Red Dead in October. Red Dead in October. By the way, that release date dropped. Red Dead Redemption in October.
That's right. That was another thing we want to talk about. Yeah. October 26th? Yeah. Well, there is finally a release date for Red Dead Redemption 2. It's coming out October 26th. And we can talk about that... Later. Maybe even next week.
Yeah. So, I have no emotional attachment to the Metroid series, so that's worth mentioning.
Okay.
So I want to be very transparent about my bias here.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you should know that it was very good.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm behind this decision. The Samus Returns remake seemed like everything that I would want in a remake just from the laundry list. Obviously, I never really being a console kid, I didn't grow up playing a lot of Metroid. I didn't really touch on a lot of that stuff. And it just is what it is. But... if I had to just sort of make a PowerPoint bullet list of what should a successful remake accomplish, it seems like Metroid objectively filled those measures, so I'm happy to see it get that recognition. If anything, I'm really just why the fuck did you... Why is L.A. Noire on here?
Yeah,
that's my only thing. I'm it wasn't even an award-winning game when it first came out. Why was it half-baked VR port nominated?
Could they just not have 6 nominations? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Could you really not think of one? Because Fallout 4, a notoriously buggy VR port, which is still very fun, but notoriously buggy, just now getting fixed in the beta, I think would have been a more deserving spot. And that's not saying much.
Do you have an opinion on Zero Escape?
No.
I don't either because I haven't played it.
I haven't either.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe I have, and it's good, but it's good because it's Mario Kart 8. How is that even a remake? It's basically just Mario Kart 8 with all of the DLC from the Wii U version plus another
that's not a
DLC
remake.
Pack.
That being said, Mario Kart 8 is very good.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 is the best Mario Kart in my opinion. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe...
it didn't deserve to win this because Deluxe is not a remake. It's just a repackaging.
It's a port.
Yeah.
It's a port with a 1080 patch. That's it. Okay. Yeah,
so that's cool.
Crash Bandicoot...
that would have been, for what it's worth, Crash Bandicoot would have been my pick. But, again, the only console I ever owned as a kid was a PlayStation 1 and then subsequently a PlayStation 2.
For me,
I went all in on PC.
I loved Crash Bandicoot growing up. And this trilogy did exactly what we wanted it to do. It just took the original games and retextured them, pretty much. I think they really did work from the ground up, but it plays just like the original. Yeah. It's the original with better graphics.
Including some of the quirks.
Yeah.
Including the weird jump mapping and the kind of you realize, oh, wait. We put up with a lot of design shit back then, especially in those 3D worlds, and that whole sort of thing. So that just is what it is. But Crash Bandicoot and the Insane Trilogy was certainly the one that rings to my heart the most. But I realize that's because I don't have sufficient, and I haven't even gotten a chance to play Skyrim yet, the Skyrim VR, because despite owning all the VR set, it's PC or it's PlayStation VR exclusive.
That's right.
At the moment, I'm not sure when we're going to see that.
Does it even have a PC date?
No.
Shit.
I'm sure they're gonna wait until the PS4 sales slow down.
Final thoughts on this category: Crash Bandicoot, exactly what we wanted in a remake, but Samus Returns exactly what we wanted plus extra content. If they had introduced some kind of new gaming mechanic to Crash Bandicoot,
or like even just
that might have won it
fixed
for
up
me.
some of the mapping problems, or some of that stuff that doesn't really feel super great now that like we're all used to like Uncharted and like really well polished platformers.
Because they left them, because you're right, they left the maps as is, and that's
they did.
The issue. And that's why my favorite Crash Bandicoot game is Warped, and that is all of course included. And here I will say there is one problem I have with this remake, and that's they made the gameplay consistent. Like because it's all in one package, Crash moves the same. In Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, originally, he actually moved a little bit faster and jumped a little bit higher than he had in previous Crash Bandicoot games. But now that he moves the same throughout, it's a little bit harder to play those levels in Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Yeah,
that is my only complaint. But you can after 10 minutes you get used to it. It's fine.
It plays. It's whatever. That's all good. Here's one. Yeah, we'll move on to the next category. One very near and dear to my heart: the Statue of Liberty Award for Best Video Game World.
Right, and of course, this is really going to adhere to games that have an open world scenario, unless they are extremely lore heavy. But most these days, most lore heavy games and immersive games. Thank a special shout out to MXR for just giving me that. It
just works.
It just works. So best world, and our categories or our nominations are Horizon Zero Dawn, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Assassin's Creed Origins, Rain World, Destiny 2, What Remains of Edith Finch, Cuphead, and Hellblade:
Senua's
Sacrifice. See, that's interesting because you'll notice most of these are very open world.
It's phonetic. Yes. You don't even need to do anything fancy. It's just Senua.
And I just want to point out that again, most of these are open world, but Cuphead was not open world.
Wasn't.
It was very much level and boss based.
But Edith Finch, was that open world?
I've never played Edith Finch.
Yeah, me neither.
So I don't know. But my point is, the reason why Cuphead gets to be on this list is because the world was so aesthetically satisfying. That's why it gets to be on this list. You don't have to necessarily have to be an open world game to have a best world if your world feels alive, and that's why Cuphead's on here. However, the winner was Breath of the Wild.
Shocker!
Wow!
So,
I think that kind of goes toe-to-toe with Zero Dawn for me. Because Zero Dawn
would have been the winner if it were my choice.
They both came out about the same time, and I think we weren't doing the show at the time, but I think we might have mentioned in Video Game Talk, at least I think I was even playing in that week where I was like, these games feel very similar. Just one's Zelda and one's not.
Right. Graphically they're very different, but it feels very similar. Horizon Zero Dawn would have won in my book because of the risks it took with the narrative.
Yeah.
And just the idea that, like, we've never seen anything like this ancient world with, like, the crazy, the biomechanical fauna running around, and that was cool. We've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, again, we've never seen it. I think that Breath of the Wild is... I've said this before. I've made my mind up now. It is the best Zelda game, in my opinion. You fight me on it. And in my opinion, also because it was open world, it presented Hyrule in the best way that Hyrule's ever been presented. However, we have seen Hyrule before in not just games, but in the comics, the mangas, and in other Hyrule Warriors. We know what Hyrule looks like. It was cool to finally see it in a way that I felt was represented best. However, is it best world this year? Probably should have gone to Zero Dawn. Probably should have gone to Horizon Zero.
I would say this: Zero Dawn is the more interesting game to give the award to, and I think deserved it. I haven't looked up this list in a minute. I don't know if they won anything, and that's really a shame because Zero Dawn was a game that took some risks.
But I'm glad they were nominated for so much.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely great. But that's consistent with the industry. You get nominated for shit for taking risks. You don't win shit. No one wants to be like, no one wants to put their neck out there on the game that, made all these really, really cool, connotations to our world and the environmental implications, all sort of stuff. That being said, Breath of the Wild is one fucking crazy stand-up example of an open world game. There's really no example. I mean, it is the open world game.
Yeah.
It's the most intrinsically pleasing baseline, nothing extra, just a good exploration experience, and it will, I think in my mind, like, until something better comes around, it will forever be the model of, like, just how to open world video game 1-on-1. Look at Breath of the Wild. Sort of thing. It does accomplish that better than that, but that's not the award. It's best world, and for me, that includes lore.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. Cuphead's visuals were incredible. I don't know if they really set up a full-blown lore, so to speak.
But it was really aesthetically pleasing.
Cuphead was another one, big risk taker. Really liked it, and I want it to win all the awards. Destiny 2 is cool. Destiny 2 is a cool game, but I don't think it's... It doesn't do anything in my mind that Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't do better, just in terms of, like, blanket storytelling mechanics. Haven't touched on Edith Finch too much. Edith Finch is a game worthwhile of mentioning in this context or whatnot, and it did create something very interesting, but again, I could see how Breath of the Wild would edge out Edith Finch very easily. And Assassin's Creed is really way more about this story than it is about world building in my mind. It was, they were in Egypt, which is great, a very, very interesting part of human history, but this, it doesn't transport me in a way like Horizon Zero Dawn does, where it's like a world of my imagination. So I'm good with this. I would have given it to Zero Dawn, but, it's really hard to argue against anything that's Breath of the Wild in terms of world building. It's going to be the example for a long time.
I would say that Zero Dawn needed this award more because, the proof of concept, and also the franchise needs recognition to continue.
Right, yeah.
Zelda's going to continue no matter
Zelda's
what.
going to do fine.
So,
yeah, but that's
Zelda got it, and that's cool because they definitely deserve it, but Zero Dawn needed it more. So, talking like in football terms, like, they need this win more than this,
Yeah.
for the stats,
For sure. All right, let's check it out. The Pan Alley Award for Best Music in a Game. Definitely one that Garrett's going to have some opinions on.
Music in video games, a lot of you don't even realize what's going on, but music's always been important, from the ancient days of Koji Kondo scoring the older Mario games to Nobuo Uematsu scoring the classic, the first 10 Final Fantasy games. Mm-hmm. Music is really important, especially in atmospheric or story-based games.
Yeah.
And your nominees for this year are Pyre,
which a lot of you, I bet, haven't even heard of.
Yeah. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Drop Mix.
Okay.
Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay.
Persona 5.
Okay.
And finally, Destiny 2.
Okay.
And your winner is Persona
5. Not a shocker.
No. But Persona has always had pretty good music. I personally think that Persona 3 had the best soundtrack, even though people are like, Persona 4. And Persona 4
Why do you imitate humans like that?
All right, Persona 4 is not as good as Persona 3. That's, it's my opinion, so it's not objective, whatever. And I just feel like it was better. I have not really gotten into Persona 5 yet. I intend to, but I think I even said this as early as last week. I've said Persona 5 to me always just kind of felt like weaker Final Fantasy. You know what I mean? It's not as good as Final Fantasy.
It's crazy, edgy, blast out hip hop Final Fantasy.
It's like K-pop stuff, even though it's Japanese. But
yeah, the game itself is way more reminiscent of kind of the K-pop over the top style of things than J-pop. I'm by no means an authority on the culture.
That's why Persona 3 is probably my favorite, because it didn't have that like poppiness that Persona 4 had. The guns like literally summon their personas by shooting a gun to their head. It's very dark and grim, and yet it has a little bit of that fun K-poppy music to it, but it wasn't like overwhelming.
Hey, this just in, folks. Richie likes the dark, gritty one.
Oh, surprise!
What?
But yeah, and that's again why I've always preferred the music of, say, like a Chrono or a Final Fantasy game, where it was Nobuo Uematsu masterfully crafting those music awards. However, there was no new Final Fantasy game, and Nobuo Uematsu hasn't scored a Final Fantasy game in 5 years, so Persona 5 is what we get, guys. Congratulations, that's where we're at right now.
Destiny 2 had a great soundtrack. I don't see it as award-winning. It's very close to. I would consider its closest analog would be the Call of Duty 2 soundtrack, which is a Hans Zimmer, and again, one of my favorite video game soundtracks ever. Whatnot. Destiny 2 kind of fell in that sort of same realm. Mario Odyssey was good, but I think it and Breath of the Wild both deserve praise for a very minimalist soundtrack.
Yeah, very, very like effects heavy.
It's soundtrack. It's just ambiance and whatnot, which is good. I would say those had very successful soundtracks. Yeah, exactly. Those had very successful soundtracks, but nothing crazy. Belt over backwards. Wolfenstein 2, banger of a soundtrack, really good.
Yeah. Wolfenstein 2 would have been my pick.
Wolfenstein 2. That's a tough one for me. I understand why they picked Persona, but for sure Wolfenstein is the other one that sticks out to me. Drop mix. I mean, I don't know. Does a music game really qualify? Like, would you put like Guitar Hero on this list?
Yeah, I feel like
that's fair because Drop Mix is original songs, for instance. Drop Mix does have a great soundtrack, and I do recommend you check that out. I wouldn't have picked it here because I feel like in a lot of these other situations, like Persona, Wolfenstein in particular, we're talking about music augmenting storytelling.
I feel like because we're kind of past the age of like the guitar heroes and rock bands, there used to be categories in these kind of shows for best music game.
Yeah, best rhythm game.
And best rhythm or music game. And that's not really a category anymore, so we have to put those in the best music in a game category, and I don't feel like that's 100% fair, so I don't think Drop Mix should have made it, but whatever.
No, that's fine. It's hard to say, it's hard to compare it against something where like a music is literally an intrinsic part of the story. Pyre, check it out, by the way.
So,
because I'll bet you nobody here has seen Pyre.
Yeah.
But a very good and a well-deserving nomination. Again, I would not have picked it. I'm good with Persona 5. Wolfenstein 2 would have also made me feel fuzzy.
Biggest upset so far for me is Persona 5 winning the music award.
Yeah,
it was Wolfenstein's 2 game to win.
Yeah, that's fair. Moving on, somewhat ironically to what you just said, we have the award for Best Writing.
Best Writing. And, again, this is going to immediately adhere to the games that have a heavier story and script.
Right.
Because, let's face it, guys, Zelda has been in, like, I think every category so far, but Link doesn't speak, and so guess what? He's not on this list!
Yeah, for once we're going to see, we're going to see one that Breath of the Wild doesn't enter into, because so much of Zelda is the story that exists in your head.
Your head.
Yeah, that's kind of the imaginative sort of like context and very much this background story, which I love. But it's not going to win any awards for writing.
And your nominees are What Remains of Edith Finch, Night in the Woods.
A lot more recommendations for Edith Finch than I would have predicted, so good for them. That's a well-deserving studio.
The Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn, which had a script and, okay, we'll get that in a second. Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Destiny 2, and Nier Automata, the first thing that Nier Automata has been nominated for, which was Square's breakout game this last year. And your winner is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. Congratulations, Wolfenstein 2.
Again,
another bang-up job.
Again, I have a hard time with Horizon being passed up for an award, but I absolutely get why they picked Wolfenstein 2 because it is riveting.
I was gonna say that is actually, when I think about it, a pretty tough call, because Horizon Zero Dawn, as we've said, does an incredible job of creating this really unique and different world, and just like from the clothing to the characters, the way they kind of have that accent.
It has to, it does. I mean, it really succeeds in world building, which is why I think it fucking should have won the world building award.
Right, but as for just the writing, there was some really clever stuff in Wolfenstein 2.
There was, and Horizon does have some slow points.
Yeah.
If only by the merit of the fact that it's an open world game with like side quests and whatnot, whereas Wolfenstein 2, you're pretty much on a track just being spoon-fed the story that they're telling you. It's a good story, though.
Like, if you thought the First Order had a little bit of some dry points here and there, that's gone in Wolfenstein 2.
No, it's
completely adrenaline-based, like, going. And all the while the action is going, an incredible storyline all throughout. Really keeps your attention the whole time. The writing, it is some of the best writing in games, not just of last year.
Yeah.
Maybe the last 10 years at least, but,
riveting.
It's
riveting
really...
from what I've seen so far, so I'm excited to really sink my teeth into that one.
Yeah, we should do Let's Play.
Yeah, we need to do Let's Play. God damn it.
So I'm really glad that New Colossus has had an award for that. That's definitely...
Nier is another well-deserving title here.
Yeah.
Nier went there.
Yeah, let's not count Nier Automata. It's the game that no one asked for, but Square released it in a time where we're begging Square Enix for things. Where's Kingdom Hearts 3? Where's, Final Fantasy 7? They're like, oh, well, we don't have any of those things, but here's a game you've never heard of. And it's this crazy thing
Blindfolded androids, though, to make you feel things. And they did. They did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were at Stack Anime, and it was like 50% girls dressed in the Nier Automata.
It's a good
costume.
cosplay. It's a good, accessible, easy cosplay. It's kind of hard to see in it, though.
And I believe the character's name is just like N2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they're all androids.
Something like that.
What's names to them?
And, you know, it probably deserves a second chance by our hands as well. I think, is it a PS4 exclusive?
I think so.
Oh, we could let's play it at my house or something sometime.
Yeah,
you don't want. I don't want to even touch a PS4 controller.
Yeah, I'm not good at those. Destiny 2 shouldn't be on this list. Destiny 2 is a fun game, but it's so short. The amount of story being told here is objectively so much shorter than this. Edith Finch, deserving entry. Wouldn't have picked my winner, but Edith Finch is another good game. Nice to see them getting attention.
All right, I think that's it. I think the game that
we can move on to a category that is very interesting to me.
Extremely subjective.
Because this one could go a lot of ways, but we have the best VR game. The Coney Island Dreamland Award for the best VR game. Nominated are Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Marvel Powers United VR, Polybius, or Polybius? I don't know. I never know how to pronounce that one. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Rick and Morty Virtual Reality, or Wilson's Heart. Already evident that they were really reaching to create even an entry of 5 of these. I would have included Arizona Sunshine in this one, which again, outside of the PC group, not a lot of people will have heard Arizona Sunshine, but I think it probably is the cleanest produced, at least as far as just handling and operating weapons in a game. I think they're the ones that have got it figured out, and all the big budget studios need.
Ultimately, you're going to have the stronger opinion on this category.
I know, right? Because I have a VR system at my disposal, which makes it really easy to form opinions about.
And the winner is
Resident Evil 7.
So, which isn't even the best Resident Evil game, just saying.
Well, it's also the only one in VR, so that's whatever. This is a weird one for me to talk about, because I haven't had a chance to play Skyrim yet. I haven't even researched it that much because Fallout 4 VR had some issues. And I can only imagine that those issues may have been a bit consistent with Skyrim and whatnot.
From what I know, it performs better than that, but it's still like...
They also marketed it towards a solitary system as opposed to bringing anything to PC as a chore.
Exactly.
Because you gotta market towards like any one of 10 million combinations.
Because the HTC Vive people would be like, there's problems here. It's easier to hide those problems, I think, on PlayStation VR.
Well, it is, because it's for the same reason it's easier and cheaper to develop games for consoles.
Like, I tried playing Resident Evil in VR on the PS4, and I had to take it off. You know, of course, I'm biased though because I'm not into VR as much as this guy. But even then, I just didn't think it worked that well, and I'm surprised that it won for this.
I'm surprised Resident Evil 7 won anything. To be perfectly honest, it was a gritty world and it was very pretty. And I can understand how a lot of the moments that were like reasonably to kind of high intensity in this game would be absolutely panic inducing in a VR situation because like people are coming at you in a very visceral way. Virtual Reality, the Rick and Morty game, didn't take any risks. And it pains me to say that because that game had a lot of like really, really cool potential to go on to that one. But that one was just kind of Job Simulator 2, the ultimate version or whatnot. I might still play it, and I think I'll still have fun with it, but that game was done and over with in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Skyrim VR, I think Skyrim VR is the only other contender in this category and whatnot. I probably would have given it to Skyrim.
I really hope that Bethesda makes a game specifically made for VR, because I think that them just converting their regular games to VR, I think that the game was built not for VR.
Right.
So you're already that's your first mistake. If they went from scratch on a game that was made to be visually immersive as a VR game, that would be one thing. And when that happens, I'm sure Bethesda will do it well, but they're focusing on just re-releasing Skyrim 10 times, and this time was VR, and it wasn't that great.
Well, I don't get the impression it was bad. It's just another Skyrim.
Yeah.
But whatever. We can move on from this category. I don't have anything else to beat on here.
Skyrim.
The Off-Broadway Award for the best indie game. For starters, love the idea of calling it the Off-Broadway Award. And this is a category, this is a category that I think has got some clout here.
And your category, the nominees are Cuphead, Walden, Beat Cop, Everything, Pyre, Torment, Tides of Numenera? I think it's Numenera. What remains of Edith Finch and Night in the Woods? Any opinion on what should have won?
The one that did win.
The one that did win, which is Cuphead.
Yeah.
An incredibly aesthetic as fuck game, and just makes you feel like you're playing a 1930s cartoon.
I will say this. Here is, I mean, I'm a PC gamer. I have a lot of access to indie titles, so this is something that, you know, I can speak to a bit. And I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of this one because I will go for hours. But I will say that every single game on here was deserving of a nomination. This is one category where I'm not going to fight to say somebody didn't deserve to be included. This is not a category where I'm going to say something, you know, is off here. Every single game is worth a look here. If I had to say that there was another game that really stuck out to me on this list, and if I had to name a second, it would probably be Night in the Woods. Tides of, or Torment, for the lack, I'm not going to say Torment Tides of Numenera every single time I say it, but Torment was another really deserving one. If you're interested in the old school Baldur's Gate style isometric RPG, here is a tried and true revival of that, so that's really cool. Pyre, super innovative, like tactics-based combat system and whatnot, and I think did not get the attention it deserves, but
Go look at Pyre.
Cuphead was insane! Cuphead was insane! I can scarcely believe that. In fact, I forgot to bring up the fact that I really think Cuphead should have been in the best music category, too.
Oh, yeah.
Studio-produced music, start to finish, hand-drawn animations from start to finish. This was a labor of love. I mean, in the truest way. I have no contest. Cuphead deserved this, and Cuphead got it.
So, yeah, definitely a clear winner for me, too. I have no... I mean, like you said, you know, Pyre and Night in the Woods, like, those are good games, but Cuphead was kind of revolutionary in the fact that it truly felt like you're playing an old 30s game, and also just fun and everything.
It had this weird quality of, like, is this what a video game in the 30s would have looked like if that was even a historic option?
Yeah.
You know, sort of thing? That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool that exists.
And next, we have the Knickerbocker Award for Best Game Journalism. And I don't know if any of us really care about this, but these are, you know, video game journalists. Some of these guys work at IGN, some work at GameSpot, some work at Kotaku. Some of them I don't recognize, but we got, I'm just going to go through this very quick. We got Matt Leone, Laura Hudson, Julie Muncie, Ajay Sin Coldherry, Astrid Bugar, Gareth Damian Martin, and the winner is Yusuf Cole.
Yusuf Cole.
And that is all, and I have no opinion on any of this because they all
I don't.
do the same
That
thing.
dude's dope. I will say that. That dude's dope. I'm glad he won. I don't have... I mean, half of these nominees I haven't even heard of. I'm sure I've read some of their shit or whatnot. AJ comes up. AJ would have been a really, really good nominee for this one, as would Matt Leone. Although, Matt Leone doesn't really... I feel like Yusuf takes stronger stances on things. Again, I don't want to dwell on this category too much. I'm just not an expert in the category, but this one, to my mind, fell accordingly well. AJ or Matt Leone would have been
the winner is Video Game Talk, all right? We are the best in video game games.
Look to us for your back alley expertise.
All right. The A-Train Award for Best Mobile Game. Another category that I maybe care about a little bit more, but not as much as other things. We'll go through these. A Normal Lost Phone, Frame 2, Through the Ages, Bury Me My Love, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, HQ Trivia, and Fire Emblem Heroes. And for some freaking reason, the winner is HQ Trivia, when the winner should have been Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
Hands down. I offer no contest on this one. HQ Trivia... What? What? HQ Trivia is fun. But HQ Trivia is a rehashing of the same exact mobile game format that we've seen. It's just a polished version of, like, you know, any of that sort of, like, Word with Friends or any of that interaction sort of stuff.
It's definitely stuff that you can definitely do better in, like, a Jackbox party pack.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, we have the beginnings of something really cool, seeing full-blown releases.
Animal Crossing Pocket Camp felt like Animal Crossing.
Right.
It felt like you were really playing Animal Crossing on the phone. Fire Emblem Heroes was pretty good too, but Pocket Camp should have won this one. This was Animal Crossing to win. Very upset on this one. That's
a joke to me. That's a joke. I mean, honestly, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was the most realist, was one of the most risky, innovative, just out there, very playable in a very real context sense, like mobile games out there, like a beginning of an era where we could hope to see like there's a possibility that like for real mobile titles are going to come to your phone like it would for like a 3DS. And nope, HQ Trivia won.
Yeah.
Got me fucked up on that one.
Whatever,
Oh,
New York Awards. I'm seeing through your...
Moving on, because I have nothing else to say other than Animal Crossing should have won that one.
The Central Park Children's Zoo Award for Best Kids
Our second
Game.
to last one. Yeah.
The categories are why do I do this every time? The nominations are Super Mario Odyssey, ARMS, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, Knowledge is Power, Sonic Mania, and Pinball FX3. And the winner is, of course, Super Mario Odyssey. ARMS is fun, but really nothing else on this list compares to, like, Super Mario Odyssey really brought back Mario.
Why is this category Super Mario Odyssey beating the shit out of a lot? Like, I guess it's a kids game category, but it's literally like, for starters, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 is good, and a kid's game in the truest sense. Knowledge is Power, Sonic Mania, and Pinball FX3?
I think it's really interesting, actually, that there is a separate category for kids game.
That's cool. I mean, that is interesting.
I feel like there should be just the game of the year, because if we're going to do best kids game, we might as well have, like, best RPG. Like stuff the Spike Awards used to do. Best RPG, best dramatic game, best, first-person shooter. It's fine. They did best kids game.
I like the idea that we're giving credence and acknowledgement to games that are super playable by kids. ARMS is good. Mario Odyssey is clearly better at a kid's game. So Mario Odyssey won this category. I feel like Mario Odyssey deserved to win this category, and I don't feel like Mario Odyssey had to try that hard to win this category, especially when it was up against Pinball FX3.
Yeah.
So, no contest there. The only other one that's close would be ARMS, and I'm a huge fan of the Lego series from start to finish. But the Lego series is objectively not Super Mario.
No.
It's not. So that is what it is.
Yeah, Lego's fun, but Mario Odyssey kind of, for me, brought back, like, those finer points of Mario platforming from, 64. All right, and finally, the last award, and probably the last one we have time for. We're at 48 minutes here.
I know. We're going to have to do questions here in a second.
The Big Apple Award for Best Game of the Year. This is Best Game of the Year. And your nominations are Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, What Remains of Edith Finch, Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Super Mario Odyssey,
and out of left field,
PlayerUnknown's
Battlegrounds.
PUBG. The only thing it's nominated for.
Oh my god. Well, this is fine. I mean, this is probably the nomination that it deserves.
So, the winner is PUBG. Just kidding. It's Breath of the Wild.
To no one's surprise, it's Breath of the Wild. This is a pretty deserving category. Really cool to see What Remains of Edith Finch up here, an indie game.
Yeah.
Contending with Bethesda's Supergiant, Resident Evil, Super Mario Odyssey, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I mean, all these other, like, resounding, crazy commercial successes. So huge shout out to What Remains of Edith Finch. That's a tremendous victory to be included in such a list. That's a tremendous victory. I don't disagree with the Breath of the Wild choice. I think it's well deserved.
Yeah.
Again, your boy here really liked Zero Dawn. It was great. Was it better than Breath of the Wild? God, that's a hard question to answer, and I'm sure my heart goes out to the people who made that decision.
As good as Zero Dawn is, Breath of the Wild is going to be the game that people remember from this year.
Correct.
Especially with the launch of the Switch and how it came out and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just attached to all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely Breath of the Wild. Although, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Wolfenstein 2, Super Mario Odyssey, those are all good games. Edith Finch, another like kind of out of left field game that you should probably look into.
Yeah, check it out. It's getting all this recognition for a reason. Here's an indie game produced by a very small team with a very limited budget that's stacking up critically with like Odyssey and Biohazard and PUBG and like all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
PUBG's
and I've played hours of PUBG. Yeah. I would never have nominated for Best Game of the Year, but at the same time,
it's a disaster. It's the most fun disaster, but it's a mess from start to finish. I mean, the mess of gameplay. I mean, that's just the chaotic, completely out of control sort of like category of the whole thing is kind of what PUBG is. I don't know.
I mean, these days we kind of just like run around in our underwear, like doing absolutely nothing, you know? That's what me and D-Rock were doing. We're just like, and seeing if they'll actually shoot us, and when we're just like running around naked. That's where you get to when you've played too much of the game.
PUBG is a game that's made by social interactions, and you know what? That's great. PUBG is really on to something special, but the game is a mess. It's not even playable in some circumstances, and that's just sort of become the fun of it. Can't recommend it for Game of the Year. Maybe next year when they've patched it and have stalled servers and address the hacking problem and have like a sustainable graphics engine that's optimized for players, and this Wild West sort of gaming sort of like front disappears. That sort of thing. New Colossus would have been a great choice. Horizon Zero Dawn would have been a great choice. Mario Odyssey would have been a great choice. Don't know why Biohazard's up there.
Yeah, whatever.
It was good.
It was. I don't know. I wouldn't have put it up there.
It was good. It wasn't.
Maybe it wasn't. Okay.
New Colossus good. It wasn't Odyssey good.
It's a tough one for me. I go back to that whole like maybe it was a good game, but it definitely was not a good Resident Evil game. La, la, la. So there's that whole thing. All right, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about Battlefront 3, but I think we're going to save that for next week.
Next
week
week.
We'll even have a little bit more info
because you and me are going to get heated over this discussion. We did in the kitchen just proposing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week we have a lot to say about EA and Battlefront 3, and I love just to tease it. I love the narrative that you and me were initially not that upset with Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Our first productions of Battlefront 2 were like, you know what? Maybe everyone's coming down on it a little bit hard and all this sort of stuff. And as we've seen, and you know, like, and a lot of our conversations ended with the whole like, well, the ball's in EA's court. We'll see what they do. And now that the ball's been in EA's court for a few months, we're like, fuck that!
It has, and that's why I say everybody's, DICE should not be blamed at all. Everything bad about it has been the way that EA has reacted towards everything.
Right.
And like now they're bringing loot boxes back, and they just don't give a fuck.
DICE is going to take the fall for it. It's just so bad. Anyway, I don't want to get into that discussion
next week
right now because oh man, we have a D&D game. We have a Dungeons & Dragons game to get to, and we are going to blow it if we spend too much time on that.
Right. So just a few minutes of questions.
Yeah, a few minutes of questions. For those of you, we didn't do our usual explanation, and I know a few viewers are kind of looking in chat now, like, why are they not talking to chat? Why are they not interacting with chat?
We always save the last 10 minutes for questions.
The last 10 to 15 minutes are always our questions. This is a talk show in talk show format, so we talk for like 40 minutes just on our topic, and then we take the questions at the end. So, if you're one of those people like, why aren't they talking? Why aren't they interacting with chat? Guess what? Now's the time. Yeah. So let your questions have it. I'm going to roll up real quick.
We perhaps talked for a little bit too long, but that's okay. We had a lot of categories to get to. We have about 6 or 7 minutes this time to answer questions. So again, if you absolutely want a guarantee that your question will be answered, that's what Super Chat is for, guys. You do have the ability to use Super Chat.
Yeah, for sure. So Mario the M-Hat Hero posted one. I need to go find it. That caught my eye. It was the Final Fantasy VII question. Let's see. Do you guys see the Final Fantasy VII remake? Cloud is in Smash. Square's relation to him was great again.
Oh yeah,
and Kingdom Hearts C being put on the Switch.
Maybe super maybe Kingdom Hearts 3. The only problem with both Final Fantasy VII in particular and the Kingdom Hearts series is that Sony actually has a stake, like a very 10 to 50% stake in the publishing rights of the main Kingdom Hearts games, and that's of course why Kingdom Hearts has always been exclusive first to Sony consoles. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 being exclusive for the PlayStation, PlayStation 2 at the time, and then of course Final Fantasy VII, because Square had made that jump from Nintendo to Sony. They needed to guarantee that their game was going to be published, so Sony basically paid for that game. Sony owns the publishing rights to Final Fantasy VII, and that's why it's going to be at least exclusive to PlayStation first. I really don't see it coming on the Switch, especially Final Fantasy VII.
Which sucks. I mean, maybe a while from now we'll get a retroactive, Kingdom Hearts something. I'm gonna. That's a no from me, buddy. I hate to say it, because it's one of the few exclusives that are left. There's no. I mean, this is it used to be the case that console exclusives were everything. Yeah. Everybody had their lineup. You were a PlayStation game. You were an Xbox game. You were a PC game. Everybody had their exclusives. And then that started to go away pretty rapidly with the release of the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, etc. That was the era of that ended because the commercially limiting nature of it became entirely evident with the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 generation. They're gonna really hold on to what exclusives that are left or whatnot, especially with Sony have such a significant take in both of those series. I don't see either coming to the Switch, and I hate to say that because that means I can't play them.
But I can.
Yeah, you can. So that's all good. Let's see. Marty Man asks if the Final Fantasy VII remake comes out on Steam, will I buy it? Yes. No questions asked.
I give it at least a year before it goes to PC. Probably
I don't know that
more
it will.
than that.
We did,
maybe never.
We did just get the the pre-orders for the Final Fantasy 15. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Pre-orders for the Final Fantasy 15 PC edition.
Yeah, just pre-orders, and that's like what's been a year or two.
Yeah,
maybe 2
are
years.
gonna come out pretty soon. Is it really? Wow, shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So it's been a couple years since that. So yeah, I'd say at least a year, guys. Realistically, we're looking at like 3 or 4 years before it's going. Just guys, if you really want to play the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I just played on the PS4, the system it was intended to be played on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you're going to have a hard time navigating exclusives. You're going to wait a long time, if forever.
Like, especially classic Final Fantasy, dude, those are console games through and through. Console games. Got to be played on. But of course, you can play anything. I said as I play like emulated games on the computer. It's got to be on the console, except for when it's old and you can emulate it.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Okay, don't listen to me. Play it on whatever you want, but it's going to be on PS4 only. Just saying.
See, Scott asks sorry, to Kayland. First name basis with the Kayland. With Secret of Mana being remade, are you guys hoping for other classics like Secrets of Evermore or others being done? To which I say, Chrono!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jackie already said it in the comments.
Chrono Trigger! Because I haven't played Chrono Trigger, and I want to play it, but I don't have access to it, so...
Chrono Trigger is the easy answer. It's definitely... the original version, to me, has stood the test of time, and it stood the test of time for many people. Just friggin' remake that, Square. That's all we ever wanted, and then we never have to bother you again.
Never.
That's what they're worried about.
I can hear my fiance is home and my dogs are going nuts. So that's all good.
Maybe one more question.
One more question, so that's all good. Let's see,
These are all questions for Jax.
That one, I know, right? So that's all good.
Dogs!
Dogs. Yeah, the only other question that I can see is Enoch David Hyde, sorry. Who's asking, just what we're looking forward to, which I feel like is a question we answer just about every single stream.
Yeah, but we'll say it again.
Yeah,
Red Dead Redemption 2 has an actual release date now of October 26th. I wish it was coming out in June like it was originally supposed to, but hey, at least it has a release date. That'll probably get pushed too, but hey, I'm looking forward to it either way. Can't wait for that. Probably the game this year I'm looking forward to the most. I think we talked about that a little bit last week, and I think came to the conclusion that since Red Dead 2 is definitely coming out this year, that's what I'm looking forward to.
October, yeah. I have a really hard time with this one because, the PC radar is a little bit less saturated. The game that I'm really looking forward to, we have no information on. That's Cyberpunk 2077. So, that's hard to say when that is coming out. That could just drop in our lap at any moment, but that is the game that is most anticipated in my mind right now. If you don't know anything about Cyberpunk 2077, go check out what's available. The Witcher crew is making a sci-fi game, long and short of it. I will say that the most short-term game that I'm really, really interested in seeing what comes about is Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
I think Sea of Thieves is going to be really fucking cool, and that's a big one for me. Also, I'm encouraged the prospect of being able to play with y'all on the Xbox One platform with me in the PC platform. The idea that we're seeing some cross-platforming here is encouraging, and I like to be able to break out of that audience there. We did our comments on the Nintendo Labo last week. I would just say, in short, I in particular am incredibly encouraged by the Labo, and I think it is incredibly innovative, super interesting sort of thing. I'm very interested to see where it goes. I really hope developers pick up on it and do something with it. That's kind of my only apprehension. It's it's not going to be cool if only Nintendo's making stuff for the Labo.
Yeah, got to get those third parties in there to start working on
That's
that
all good. Are you doing anything for Super Mario 10-year anniversary?
Made a movie called Legacy. You can check it out on the channel right now.
We did! It didn't line up exactly with it, but...
couple weeks.
Yeah, just worth mentioning that the channel in general, as far as the actual episodic content, is in a big lull right now because so many other big projects are kind of in the planning phase. So...
All right, guys, I think that's about it. Subscribe if you haven't already. We are always doing this crap on the Rich Alvarez channel.
We are.
Go see him at the twitch.tv/The Complaint Department, where you can get your doses of him doing stuff.
Yeah, or to Kayland, who's in chat, or my sister, who's not in chat, but also streams, or D-Rock, who's also not in chat, but yeah.
Right.
We are a community.
And you can also catch me, D-Rock, on Star Wars Hour, which is now on its new YouTube channel of Star Wars Network, which will be expanded on greatly as the months go by.
Please. Yeah, if you are a Rich Alvarez fan, go check out Star Wars Network. We're doing a bunch of stuff there. So if you're one of those people who's like, I feel like I don't see you guys a lot, Like, what's going on? What's going on in your lives? Like, where's the next episodic content? Where's that Star Wars show you promised? Another channel.
Right.
So yeah, go subscribe to that channel. So much of what we're doing this year, so much of our life and our energy and our time is going into the Star Wars Network channel.
Right. Don't know how to get to the Star Wars Network because YouTube doesn't allow unique URLs right away. Well, just go to that last video
waiting
called,
on that one.
Go to that last video called What Happened to Star Wars Hour, Where in the World is Star Wars Hour. There is a link in that video, and it's a hilarious little 30-second video. Just click the link in that video, and it'll take you right to the intro video.
Please go
do
that.
And then subscribe to that channel.
Such a lifesaver if you guys did that, because right now that channel is sitting at like 0 subscribers. And we are starting to really like put out content on it. So
go ahead.
Go do that.
Subscribe there.
Please and thank you.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us. We got to go. But we love you. And goodbye.
I guess I got to hit the button because I got the mouse.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye.